Oh. Used to walk to the ring so hard too, like fucking bounce along with it and shit.
With a goblet of blood.
The fucking goblet of blood. I love it. All right, gentlemen, we're finally here. Brothers of Discussion. We are finally here. John,
Episode 1 today. Just want to introduce ourselves and talk about a few things. I am John Walmsley. Lifelong wrestling fan, sports fan. Here with my brothers and my son as well, who will be a part of this podcast, giving us quizzes, chiming in from time to time with his opinions. You like to say hello, Jonathan?
Hello, Jonathan.
Very well. I'm Aaron DeLong. You can find me on Facebook again, just like John and Fran, lifelong wrestling fan. We're from Allentown too, by the way. So there's history, just salt and peppered all through where we live around here. So kind of grew up with it.
I am Francisco Martinez. People call me Franny Fresh.
Oh.
Everybody will get to know me as that. Also, longtime wrestling fan. You know, with my brothers here, discussing wrestling, discussing everything you need to know about sports as well. And I'm looking forward to this journey. And yeah, my brothers, let's get started.
Yeah. So just kind of how this will kind of play out, like so weeks of pay-per-views and PLEs. We're gonna make our predictions, kind of break down the match card. I personally like to kind of predict the match order, what's going to open a match, what's going to open a pay-per-view, what's going to close it, stuff like that. I think that's kind of interesting. But then we have a lot of cool segments kind of planned. We have Count Out, which is basically top 10, bottom 10s, which will be fun. This is a test, which will be a test our little man's going to help us for. He's not really little, but our young man.
young bud.
Lit match, which will be a watch-along style thing. We'll pick a match and watch along with it together, maybe do some alternate commentary and just kind of talk about the match itself. Here's where you're wrong, where John is just going to argue with you because that's his jam.
That's what I do
Yep.
at a high level.
Yeah.
I'm a high level arguer.
Yeah.
And I will prove you all wrong
Yeah.
for all of your things.
You're already wrong.
Before you even think of
Yep.
it, you're wrong for even thinking.
It's already there.
That you can beat me.
We got Off the Top Rope coming, Franny's Fresh Bets, Franny's Fresh Takes, which will be kind of his take on sports betting and just matches and new and upcoming wrestlers that he really likes. And this all come with fan feedback with you guys. Give us your ideas for matches, shows, things you want to cover. We'll also talk about some current sports. We have 8 fantasy football championships amongst us. So we'll talk a lot about football, some baseball, some basketball here or there. And I'm a big UFC guy too, so I'll definitely talk a little bit about that.
I definitely will chime in on some of the UFC. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm more familiar with the older MMA stuff than I am with this current product, but I am willing to watch and learn and talk about it.
And all I know is Ronda Rousey, so I'm old school with that stuff too. But I'm willing to learn. So
it's all right. So I think that we kind of gave you guys a rundown of what to expect here in the upcoming episodes. Today, on our first episode, because we are so close to WrestleMania, as Francisco said to us earlier, it is WrestleMania season. Am I correct?
you're definitely correct, and it's upon us. And yeah, let's get it rolling. Let's talk about our favorites, the WrestleManias.
There's no other seasons that are associated with sports. Like there isn't Super Bowl season, right? There isn't World Series season or NBA season. WrestleMania is its own monster. It is like it literally has.
I would say March Madness might be the closest thing
you're right.
because it takes some time. But
Yeah.
WrestleMania season, even when you're not a wrestling fan,
Right.
it happens to me all the time because
Yeah.
everybody
Right.
who ever speaks to me knows I'm a wrestling fan. I can't shut up about it. I run into people frequently where they're like, "Hey, WrestleMania is coming up," and I'm like, "You watch wrestling?" "Oh, I mean, I watch WrestleMania." So it's like the Super Bowl for a lot of people.
It is.
Definitely. And, non-wrestling fans do tune in, because of the name. So
It starts with the Rumble, right? Like, really, that's when WrestleMania season starts.
You're
like
right.
night of the Rumble
Right. You
is
get
like
that excitement.
it's like
and
it's like
adrenaline.
Thanksgiving, right? Like when
Yeah.
you meet up for Thanksgiving dinner, you like like the next thing is Christmas, and like that's kind of how the Rumble feels. Is like you're at the Rumble and you're like, fuck, like we know the next thing coming is Christmas or WrestleMania. But
Yeah.
it's cool. It's a season. And there's nothing else like it in sports. Playoffs are cool, but they're not. It's a different feel. It's something about WrestleMania is very different. But we're gonna talk about our favorite WrestleManias, and we're gonna start with my boy Fran's favorite WrestleMania, which is drum roll.
But it is definitely WrestleMania 12.
And why WrestleMania 12?
Well, first off, everybody's going to know that Shawn Michaels is the GOAT, in my opinion. And he won his first title that night.
The boyhood dream.
Yeah.
The boyhood dream.
Yeah.
Yep.
That scene with him like kissing the belt and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
that-
iconic. It is.
Yes, it is. And it did motivate me in life, going from nothing to something. I mean, I was a youngin' then, but that's why it sticks out to me.
So do you think that we pick our favorite WrestleManias based off our favorite wrestlers or our favorite moments? What do you think kind of makes that?
Favorite moments. It's the moment of my favorite wrestler.
So a combination of both.
Of both, yes.
I'm going to go ahead and say
Yes.
probably favorite moments because my favorite wrestler of all time is Mr. Perfect. Never really had WrestleMania moment,
Did not.
to be honest with you. It was a lot of SummerSlam moments. But I think the moments, and me personally just being the fan that I am of professional wrestling, I kind of look at all the matches as an entirety. Where, like, yes, there are some WrestleManias where there's a couple matches that are great matches, but that's the only great match on the card.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it, the WrestleMania in an entirety.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Cool.
So yeah, that's why WrestleMania 12, number one, was hands down my favorite. I mean, challenging Bret Hart, what a technical match. That Iron Man match that was very long. But yeah, other than that, we had young Steve Austin, versus Savio Vega.
This was while he was still the ringmaster. He had DiBiase
Yes,
with him
yeah.
against Savio Vega.
Yep. And then you had Ultimate Warrior crushing a match versus, you wouldn't believe it, Triple H. He was nobody then, but Warrior just buried him. And as anybody knows who Warrior is, that motherfucker, I mean...
You can say whatever you
this
want.
is our show. Fuck that.
We run
You're
good. Fuck shit.
Yeah, he be tearing shit up in and out. But other than that, and then we had a backlot brawl. I mean, I love hardcore matches. I love,
Can I step in real quick?
It.
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I want to keep hopping on the Warrior thing. Like anybody else, he would have did that to, ate him up at WrestleMania. Do you think they would have turned out okay? Like Triple H did really well with that. Like a lot of people probably would have not handled that well. Do you think let's say if it wasn't Triple H, let's say, I don't know, let's say just somebody else was in there. Let's say it was Stone Cold. Let's say it was Warrior versus the Ringmaster, and that happened to the Ringmaster. Do you think we still would have got Stone Cold out of that?
Definitely not. Definitely not. And Triple H rose up shortly after that. So I mean,
It's a fair question.
what a career!
It is, right?
It's
Like-
because I think it worked out for Triple H mainly because
For sure.
his how should I say the change of his gimmick, because at that point he was still Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the Blue Blood.
Yeah.
Him evolving into
Yeah.
Triple H and the DX stuff, that really helped him elevate.
Yeah.
And that was shortly after this is where that started beginning.
Yeah.
So I think that helps.
Yeah.
Now, if it was somebody who you don't have that evolution of their character, there's no way they're coming back.
That's my point. I
Honky
think
Tonk
like,
Man, who he beat for the Intercontinental title, never recovered from
Right, exactly. I think that's my point is like, I think something like that could really bury somebody, and it just didn't. I think when you look at it from that point of view of like, of this dude got buried. Like, there's no way he's gonna come out of this.
Yeah.
And then not only does he come out of it, he comes out of it and he kills it. Like, that's
Right.
really cool.
Right.
That's really cool. I don't
Right.
know. I just thought that was so interesting.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
That he
And-
was able to get squashed like that, and not only get squashed, but come out of it good.
And to be honest, that was almost the end of Warrior's WWE career.
It ran,
you know?
that
And that's
derailed
what I
him.
mean. So
It did. That derailed him.
him.
He was out for 4 or 5 years, and he comes back and does that. And I think that was my main take from that. Is like that kind of shows what kind of guy he is. Is like
Right,
you're
right.
coming back after a 4 or 5 year absence. You're here at WrestleMania. You're gonna bury this young and up and coming dude.
Right.
And what happened from that? Like,
Right.
you know, Triple
Yeah.
H came out on the other side of that. So I think it worked out well. I just thought that was really a really crazy footnote there that he got
Yeah.
squashed at WrestleMania, and there we are. You know,
To me, the highlight of that WrestleMania is the backlot brawl.
I agree.
for sure.
Even though, as we had discussed prior to recording, it was supposed to be Razor Ramon and Goldust.
Yeah.
But Piper made it what it was.
Yeah.
Piper's attitude and grit really made that match so entertaining. And then this also was a match type that we weren't used to seeing.
Yeah.
You see stuff backstage every now and then.
Yeah.
But
That-
this was
you're
like
right.
a whole backlot
Dude, that's a
brawl
really
parking
good
lot
point.
thing. Like
I think that was like our first intro to like hardcore. If you weren't watching ECW in '95 or whatever
right,
year this
right.
was,
Yeah.
that for like us as kids, you know,
Yeah.
that was our first intro to someone getting punched in the face for real, someone
Yes.
getting hit with a car, so, like
Yes.
weapons. It was very
It
different.
was a car. It was a food tray. Like I mean, you name it, that match had it.
The
I mean,
dumpster.
like,
Let me ask you something.
everything.
Is Piper the king of like picking his spots? Like the dude didn't wrestle much, but when he did, or when he did a segment, or when he did wrestle, it fucking always meant something, did it not?
it had to do with his gift of gab.
Yeah, of course.
Piper could talk about something so tiny and small and make it seem like it was so big and
Yeah.
this huge thing. He just had a way with his words, his energy, body language that just made everything seem.
He carried himself like a star.
He did.
He did. But I mean, like with this, like with him in particular, like before this WrestleMania, did he wrestle at 11 or 10 or 9? He didn't. The last one before
I
that
don't
was
recall.
8.
Yeah,
It was
I don't
8.
recall.
And that was against Bret Hart, which was probably his best WrestleMania match up to this
Oh,
one.
with him and Bret
was
Hart,
really
it was
good.
a great match.
But that was my point. Like the guy doesn't wrestle often, but when he does wrestle,
Right,
he's
right.
fucking on, and
Yeah.
he gets it. Like he's just.
Yeah,
I always
he's-
thought that Piper was such an
He's-
underrated guy
yes, I agree.
because
I
he was
agree.
never
And-
overexposed, and when he was there, it was always good. Like I can't think of a bad Piper segment or a bad thing that Piper did. Everybody else I can kind of think of, but
Not
but
until
I
his
really can't.
WCW days.
Yeah, but even then, like
It was
even-
still good.
Some of it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I'm glad you brought that up, dude. Like, do you remember his segments in WCW when he was like in Alcatraz and like he was doing the
Yeah.
push-ups in the
Oh,
set?
yeah.
Dude, that was
Yeah.
badass
Yeah.
for a 40-some
Yeah.
year old Piper. That's crazy, man.
With
Like,
this Cena heel turn that just happened recently. I'm
Really-
sorry, it's kind
really
of
good. No,
kind of
really
off
good.
subject.
Really good.
But there's a interview. It's Piper in the ring with John Cena, and he's telling him you can't be what you are, and get to the next level and be that guy like
Yeah.
the Hogans, like the Ric Flairs. You
Right,
have to
right.
change. You have to get aggressive. You have to get violent.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. So, like, to me, it's crazy. It's like a callback. I'm looking at, because Piper, to me, is the all-time greatest heel. I don't think there's anybody who's a better heel than Piper, in my opinion, in professional wrestling.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
He's up there.
hearing that recently, like, it's a callback. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, he did exactly what Piper told him to do. And now, we're all looking at Cena, wrestling fans that weren't big Cena guys.
Right.
You're looking at him like, oh, I'm excited to see this.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
agree.
not excited to see it because of Cody. I'm excited to see it because I want to see how heel Cena works.
Yeah.
So
I think we are off topic, but I do want to add to that. I think his heel promo he did on Monday I think it was the best heel promo maybe ever.
it's
Yes.
it's up there.
It's
Yeah.
really high up there.
Yep,
It's
I agree.
really high up there. You don't get new music. You don't get new dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like just wow, that was really well done. But real talk, real shit. It's just us talking, right? Just us. if Vince was in charge, this wouldn't have happened.
Oh, not at all.
Definitely not.
That's the only reason this happened,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
Is because Vince is no longer in the picture.
Seeing this promo is how I feel when they ask me if I want to round up to the next dollar. You get nothing.
Yeah, dude.
You get nothing.
So good.
Yeah,
That
was really
so good. You don't get new music. You don't get new gear. Like, just, dude, really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Really, really good.
All right, so
But yeah,
we're going to jump back into
We're getting back to 12 now.
So, yeah, and the last highlight I will say is Taker taking down Diesel. It was a long match for, tall wrestlers, and man, did it deliver. I mean, Diesel tried to put him away with a jackknife, and, Undertaker just rose up, as Paul Bearer always had him rise all the time, and that was the highlight of that, which made him 5-0 at that point. So in my opinion, it's one of my favorite WrestleManias is WrestleMania 12.
Looking back at that Undertaker Diesel, at the time, it was good. Now when you look back and you see what Undertaker has done through the streak,
Yeah.
not so much. It was too. I think they were too similar. It was a clashing of just
Of the Giants,
Yep.
right?
the big guys,
Right,
and
but for them to wrestle for how long, you said?
It was.
Aaron?
I have it here. I was just gonna bring it up. It was almost 17 minutes
Yeah,
for
I mean,
two
you
big
don't-
guys to go.
Yeah,
And that's
especially Diesel.
So
Like, how
what
many matches?
a move a minute for a Diesel?
Yeah.
That's what.
the
it's
the
just,
match should have
wow.
been half of that,
Yeah,
It
exactly.
definitely should
or
have been.
less. And it really should have. It was way too long.
But at
Way,
the time,
way too long.
At the time watching it, they were both big attractions, so it made sense.
Right.
This, in my opinion, was a transitional WrestleMania. Just looking at the card, looking at who was on the card, it was only 7 matches. I mean, the 3-on-3 match with Owen, Vader, and Davey Boy, which to say out loud, all 3 of them are dead. That's really crazy to say, but
Well, if you look at the other team,
Ahmed, Jake, and Yoko. I mean, one.
Yoko's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jake is still around,
He's
which
still
is crazy. And
kicking.
Ahmed's still there
career
too.
is dead.
Yeah, it's been dead.
Yeah.
But that match was 13 fucking minutes long. I mean,
Yeah.
good lord,
What's
you don't
it?
need that. You
Right.
don't need it. You know,
Right.
there's a lot of. You can tell this was transitional. I mean, again, nothing against Savio Vega, nothing against him. He had a WrestleMania singles match. I mean, that's crazy.
That's
Like
my peoples. That's my peoples. but,
nothing
you
against
know,
him.
I know.
Nothing against him. With that being said, in my opinion, this was one of the more atrocious WrestleManias. So we're going to rebook this son of a bitch next week. So you guys have a full week to kind of do your homework, rewatch this WrestleMania. Sorry. But tell me what you would do different. You know, I have a real hot take on Iron Man matches that what we can talk about next week that I would instantly change that WrestleMania
Yeah.
with. But that'll be fun to talk about next week doing 12 and rebooking.
I definitely have some ideas on what I would do differently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
But yeah, that sums it up. You know, for my one of my favorite WrestleManias.
Now
And,
I have my favorite next, and I have 2. I chose my original one, and again, that's kind of why I asked the question of why you choose your WrestleManias. My favorite was WrestleMania 10, and it's because of Brett winning the title. He was the champion before. He had beaten Ric Flair, like on an untelevised event, and then had lost it. But this, from me being a kid, seeing him win the title was great. It really was. I rewatched this back for the first time. I actually watched it 2 days ago, which ironically was 25 or 26 years, whatever it was, the anniversary of it. So it was on March 20th, which was really cool. But Little Richard opened the show, which I thought was a little odd of all the people that have opened up in New York in the 90s, but we went with Little Richard. That's fine. But in my opinion, I think, and you guys can definitely give your opinion on this, but I think Owen versus Brett
oh yeah, it
was the best opening WrestleMania match
Yeah.
ever.
It's
and
up
maybe
there.
maybe there were better ones, but that's the one I remember the most.
It's up there, and I tell you what, it's not WrestleMania 10, but one of the best opening WrestleMania matches ever, as people aren't going to like this, was AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon.
It was really good.
It was so good to open the show.
Good.
It was
good.
high energy.
Yeah.
That's the thing with at this era right here with WrestleMania 10. Owen and Brett was probably one of the better storylines going on. Both extremely talented, clashing styles.
Yeah.
So great choice to open the show with.
Yeah.
100% great choice.
I like how you said that was one of the best storylines. I'm gonna say probably, and maybe not, but I think Stone Cold and Vince was probably the best storyline in history.
That and honestly, for WWE.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not disregard other promotions.
Oh,
that
the
had great storylines.
NWO changed the
NWO
industry,
was
but,
fantastic.
But I'm talking. we're talking about
Vince and Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. I
Had
was
to be.
actually
And I'm
gonna
sorry,
chime
I'm
in
sorry to
that.
say it, but the Bloodline storyline has been a
Yes.
phenomenal storyline that
Yes.
is long-term storytelling. It went on.
I
It
think
went
it's
on.
too
It could have
long.
gone on too long.
still
It's
going.
still kind of going on,
still
but
going on.
from the beginning of it, of Roman and the Usos until they split all that up, where Cody won. I think that is up there. It's argument for that
Yeah.
being one of the top storylines ever.
You know, I agree. It's up there, but these are one of the problems that I have with WWE is sometimes their storylines are too long. The Authority storyline was like 20 fucking years long. It started with Vince McMahon and went all the way through with Triple H and that format of we're gonna open a show with a 15 to 20 minute promo of the authority figure or whoever the heel authority figure is talking lasted for so long. And that's what I worry about with this type of, because like this Bloodline storyline was great. It should have ended with Roman somehow. And now Roman's not even in that storyline anymore.
Yeah,
Which
he's
is
really
crazy.
not.
Like he's the head of the
Well-
Bloodline. He won the match and he's not even in that storyline.
Well, that's
anymore.
because Jacob Fatu's a bigger star than he is right now.
I-
Sorry to say.
Well,
it.
Jacob is on the
Dude,
rise.
he's the future.
He
He's
is.
the future.
He's
He's the future.
He's the guy that when the show comes on, your eyes are on him.
He's a complete package. He is. You're drawn to him, but then he talks,
And then
and
he
then
also
he works, and
then he
he's
also
he's
has
so
the
real.
build that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And you look at that guy
You're
and
right.
you say, okay, I could do this. If
Yeah.
he can do it, I can do it.
I'm glad you bring that up because that's what makes the best heels. If you think about the heels you hated the most, are the ones that you thought I could fuck that guy up, right?
Looking
And
at
the
Kevin
sa-
Owens, honestly, at one point I'm in my head, I'm like, I'll kick Kevin Owens' ass.
You're big enough.
I'm big enough. I'm
Yeah.
6'3", 200 pounds. I smack the
Yeah.
fire out this dude. That's what I was thinking in my head.
Okay.
Knowing now that he's a trained professional, he's good at what he does.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Probably
he's-
not.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I mean. He
But I
just
poke
seems
eyes
like,
and kick.
Yeah.
I don't. I'll bite. I don't care.
Yeah, he seems like he'll fuck somebody up.
Now with this WrestleMania in particular,
Yeah.
this is again, it's my favorite, and we're gonna go through the matches. The matches themselves, I don't think make the WrestleMania for me. I think the build to this WrestleMania is good. If you think about the main event matches, so like we'll go through Bam Bam and Luna versus Doink and Dink. It not really anything. It's just
Yeah.
kind of throwaway.
That was a
Macho and Crush, again, a cool concept. The Falls kind of anywhere was something we'd never seen before. Fighting all over the arena was cool.
Right.
Trying to tie him up and it not working at the end did kind of suck and everything. That was more of Macho Man trying to like help his buddy out.
Well,
You
this
know,
was
and I get
also
that.
too. This was also too at the point where Vince was getting like, he didn't want Macho to wrestle much
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
So it was,
Yeah.
it was kind of like Vince, like, okay, I'll let you wrestle, and it was also Macho like, well, if I'm gonna finally get a chance to wrestle, I'm gonna help my buddy get some spotlight.
I have to look,
So-
but I think this might have been his last one.
It could have very well.
Because I know
been.
Hogan was out at 9. That was his last one. I'm pretty sure this was Randy's last one. So this probably was his last softball of like, here, here's your last chance, dude.
Yeah.
And that's probably what they did. They probably threw it in his face like, look it, this is what you gave us. So yeah, he probably got
Well,
a shitty deal on
what you
that.
say about the build too? Yes, this was the Royal Rumble beforehand where
Luger
Lex and Brett,
yes, that's my point.
co-winners.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
storyline
Yeah.
alone did help build this WrestleMania.
Thank you. So you have that storyline on top of Brett and Owen. So really Brett's in two
Yeah.
like he's in the two main storylines.
No.
You know? But I also think this is one of the times where they really used the Rumble to really build something. Like Rumbles now kind of sometimes are throwaways. Sometimes people will win a Rumble to fucking lose at WrestleMania or not get anything out of it. Like, yeah, Luger lost here, right? but he still got a match at WrestleMania. It still meant something. He still headlined all the way up to it, and then Brett did win it, and they really made a star out of that. You know, like, and that's really what the Rumbles used to be about. But yeah, I think this WrestleMania was more about the build for me as opposed to the card. But even as we get in, like, and we're going to get into, so we have the women's match. This is one of the first WrestleManias that had, since I think it was WrestleMania 3 was the last one that had a women's match. But they went a really long time without them because women's wrestling just wasn't really a thing other than in Japan. But then the tag team, again, you have Mo and Mabel versus the Quebecers and a count out. And a count out.
And a count out.
And a count out. You know?
And Men on a Mission, actually, at this time, were pretty hot with the fans. The fans really were behind them.
This was the fan participation phase. So because Mo and Mabel came out and waved their hands and the crowd can do it, they were all about it. That's all it really took, you know, at that point. But then even like Yoko and Lex, like Lex couldn't wrestle. They tried to jam him down our throats. As a kid, I thought he was so fucking cool. I really did. But I remember watching this as a kid and being like, this sucked. And it was really, really bad.
I only ever enjoyed Lex with the narcissist phase.
And I liked the Lex Express. I thought it was really cool. I really did. It's just he just wasn't right for the part. And then throwing Mr. Perfect out there, I thought really made Perfect look bad. They could have put him in any other match as a ref. Like, put him anywhere else. And I understand the idea of putting him out there. They needed star power. That's why they put Perfect out there. Also, the idea of it
was because of the history between Lex Luger and Mr. Perfect. When he was a narcissist and Mr. Perfect, they were both active. So the history between the two of them is, I think, the main reason why they put him there.
They needed something else. Because here's the other thing. Like, if you're not 100% into Lex Luger, who the fuck are you cheering for in that match? Like, that's your semi-main event, realistically, right? If you think about it, because the WrestleMania is built around that world title match. So this match, the sixth match on the card, is going to determine the main event. So that's a really important match. You know what I mean? And it's a fuck finish with a DQ. And you have to bring somebody else in to make it worthwhile. And Mr. Perfect, just not,
well,
just
for instance, Fran, what would you have done personally? What do you think they could have done to make that match a little more appealing? Aside of Mr. Perfect as a special ref, do you think there's anything that you could think of that they could maybe have people get behind Luger or Yoko for that instance? If we're seeing that it's not working with Luger, because the Lex Express was a flop. It did not work.
It definitely was a flop, and that spot where he like body slammed him, that was a dope.
It was huge.
That's what I mean. It was a big deal.
Do you guys think it took too long to put Luger against Yoko after the slam?
No, they should have pulled the trigger at SummerSlam. I think that was the deal. Is like he wrestled, like Yoko and Lex wrestled earlier in the year prior, like that summer, and Lex didn't win. And I think that's what I think they should just went away.
He didn't have enough charisma for us to want to get behind him on that fight back towards the top.
Yeah, we're armchair quarterbacking at this point, but in my opinion, an easy way out of this is just have Lex lose. Have him lose by pinfall. He gets distracted by something, and Fuji throws something in his eyes or something, just something. Yeah. But have him lose. Like the DQ. This isn't Raw, right? This isn't
right.
This is when you only did 4 pay-per-views a year, right? So look at it from somebody's point of view from 1994 or whatever year this is. You saved up $45, whatever the fuck it cost back then to get this pay-per-view to watch that match end in a DQ. Like that's shitty.
So what I'm saying is, you have a world title match ending in a DQ.
Yeah.
You have a tag team title match ending in a countout.
Yeah. Back to back, mind you.
So to me, yes. Fuck WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
This to me is not a good WrestleMania except for just a few moments.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that because these save it. That's why I think this WrestleMania is so good because you have 2 5-star matches and then the ending just solidifies it. This was supposed to be a 10-card match. I don't know if you remember, but there was supposed to be a 5-on-5 match with like Spark Plug Holly and a bunch of other people. But it got...
I did run into him recently, and he told me to tell you, if you see the Big Show, tell him the Big Show's looking for him.
But Earthquake and Adam Bomb had a match. I like both of those dudes, too. But I grew up during the time where, like, the gimmicks and stuff like that were cool. So I thought the Adam Bomb thing was cool. And, again, he threw a fucking little football bomb in the crowd. That was dope. I thought that was awesome.
I think the Earthquake is one of the most underrated big men
of history. WrestleMania 10 is known for one match, really. And it's Razor and HBK.
Definitely, that's what I was gonna
It
say.
It changed. That match
I think
changed wrestling. Period. It changed everything.
I think you're right on that.
It did.
Door.
Everybody copied after that. Just a gimmick, like that gimmick match was copied, and it just transformed into TLC. It transformed into everything we love about current day wrestling. It was. And this match, they did moves off the ladder. They did moves with the ladder. They did moves to the ladder. It was really, really just. It was so fucking different.
Ahead of its time,
and it holds up.
Yeah. It does.
Like, it holds up.
Hold up.
It holds up.
There may not have been so many high spots,
quote high spots,
that there are in a lot of the more recent ones, but the more recent ones have to have these high spots so that people can be more memorable to people. Because a match that we're going to talk about with my favorite WrestleMania took the cake for these ladder matches. In my opinion, to make now everybody's trying to top that, and you're never going to.
And there's a lot of other good shit in this match.
There's some really good shit. The ring psychology alone with Ramon and HBK, just them also. I think because they had such a good friendship.
Yeah. I was just gonna say they gelled.
They gelled. They worked together so well because
that was,
behind the scenes they're great.
It's
friends.
why Owen and Brett worked. Like when you have that close of a relationship with your opponent, you just know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You just feel it. It's
yeah.
Yep. So it was a banger to start WrestleMania 10.
Yeah. And then you have this ladder match, and then right after that you have Brett versus Yoko, which again, not a crazy match, not a great match per se, but the ending is what I think that's the most important thing of a WrestleMania in my opinion, and that's why the next WrestleMania we cover I'm really gonna shit on because I think the ending sucks so bad. But this ending of Brett being on everybody's shoulders, Lex too, which I thought was a really good touch, having Lex underneath Brett, helping hold him up. And then Owen Hart coming out at the end of the aisle and just staring at his brother like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I just thought it was so well done. Like, it was so well done.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah.
But that's why that WrestleMania to me was my favorite. And John...
So
lay it on us, bro.
Let's go. So I mean, this one, I mean, it's kind of a layup. Anybody who's been watching wrestling, if you talk about best WrestleManias ever, this is always mentioned. It's 100% always mentioned. It's WrestleMania 17. Just to think about, like I said earlier, before we started recording, the star power in this WrestleMania. Almost every single person I name in these matches have become world champions at one point. Very big stars. It just, from start to finish, I feel like there was too many matches. 11 matches, that's a bit much for me. There's a few of these I could cut out, throw them away. That's fine with me. But let's start with the first match. Intercontinental title. Jericho defeats William Regal. Both phenomenal workers. William Regal is one of the guys who people forget how good he was.
So good.
Oh, underrated. Yeah, he was an awesome heel too.
He was an awesome heel. He was also he was a guy who made everyone look good.
Yeah.
Everybody he worked with, he made him look good.
Yeah.
This was kind of the inception of Jericho in WWE. I know when Jericho first came with the countdown and the promo with The Rock. Okay, big thing. But we were discussing. This is right before Jericho became the undisputed world champion.
Think about this for a second with Jericho. Jericho was really fucking good in the 90s, right?
Yep.
Jericho was really fucking good in the 2000s, right? Jericho was really good in the 2010s, right? Jericho's really good in the 2020s, right? That's fucking crazy. 4 fucking decades of him. Now, don't get me wrong. He's in his 50s now. I'm equating him to now how Flair kind of was toward the end of his run in WWE, where it wasn't Flair, but it was Flair still, right?
He's obviously lost a step. He lost a step in the ring
a little bit,
but he's still very entertaining.
Dude,
and
he still puts on bangers.
Nobody can reinvent themselves like Chris Jericho.
Thank you, dude. He's the king of reinvention.
Yep.
He really does change.
He's had 5 different characters in AEW
alone,
and they've only been around 5 years. Like, that's crazy. But I had that in my notes that, like, Jericho was dope in the 90s, dope in the 2000s, dope in the 2010s, still killing in the 2020s. Like,
this match, it's exactly what you would expect from an Intercontinental Championship match.
Yeah.
Workhorses, putting on a good match.
You want to know a fun fact too? Out of Jericho and Regal, Regal's the younger one.
He doesn't look it.
I know. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
By like 8 years.
Damn.
That's crazy.
I did not know.
Yeah.
that.
That's that rain.
Pretty wild.
That's living in Britain with all the rain.
Pretty wild, right?
It's just, dude, you just want to die sooner. But anyway, the second match. This is the one I would throw away if
Yeah.
I was in charge.
Yeah.
Taz and the APA versus Right to Censor. All right, so Stevie Richards is there as the manager. It was Val Venus, the Good Father, and Bull Buchanan.
Yeah.
Okay, done. I'm already done talking about it.
Yeah.
No thanks.
I want to add one thing. Poor Taz. I always thought Taz was such a fucking badass in ECW, and then
Oh, it was ridiculous.
and then they just never did.
And he
they just-
debuted beating Kurt Angle. The first
Yeah,
person
the
to
way
beat
he
Kurt
did
Angle.
it was so
And
good.
that's what I mean. In the
And then after
beginning,
that-
he was a badass. The beginning where he walked down with the towel
Yep.
in the WWE.
Yep.
That's when.
And
So-
his entrance theme also was pretty fire.
Yeah. So if they would have just kept that, do you think he probably would have done something?
No, because he wasn't one of Vince's guys.
Yeah, that's
he,
exact-
he
that's
became,
exact- that
he
was my
became
point.
popular
On his own.
before he was there.
And he couldn't market him.
Yes, the same thing happened with
I agree.
Dr. Death.
Yep.
It was a badass dude that could go in there and probably
Yeah.
beat the crap out of most of the people.
Yep.
But guess what? You're not my creation, so I'm not getting.
I have some crazy
matches.
matches of his I watched in Japan that we will use for some lit matches. And buddy, you want to see some shit?
I would.
That motherfucker was crazy.
I have some recommendations for
Yeah.
some lit matches
Oh,
as well.
that'll be
so
fun.
We're gonna have a good time with that.
Yep.
The third match on the card is the hardcore title triple threat. Kane ends up winning against the champion Raven, and also versus the Big Show. It was a fun match.
Mm-hmm.
The hardcore title era was fun. Okay, but I could also do without it.
I just have a couple points on this match. One, when I think of hardcore, I definitely think of Kane, Big Show, and Raven.
I think of Raven 100%. Like if we're not being sarcastic,
No,
Raven for
yeah,
sure.
Raven for sure, but I'm definitely being sarcastic.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
also,
yeah, for sure.
again, let's go with those three names again. Kane, real big. You guys can't see me on camera, but I'm going like this because he's big as fuck.
big. He's
big
big.
Show, big,
He's-
big as fuck.
Hence the name
And then Raven.
Raven.
Again,
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
It-
It was a fun match. I
It
will
was a
give you
fun.
that.
It was fun, but it was
was
to
fun.
put Kane and Big Show on the card.
And
That's
they
what it
used
was.
the golf cart, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was also.
That was fun.
Fun.
That was fun. I like that. But
Next match, I think, was the most overlooked match of the entire card. The European Championship. Eddie Guerrero defeats Test to win the European Championship.
Yep.
Okay.
Hot take: Test was phenomenal.
Yes. for
Test
a
was,
short-
to me, at that time,
short
there was
run.
no other big guy that was as good as Test. Personally.
You mean athletically? Or?
Athletically, like
Okay.
it just maybe not talking that much. The storyline he did with Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, he spoke pretty good in that at
Yeah.
times. But just in the ring, Test looked smooth to me for a big man. It looked like he was laying it in. You know what I mean? It was it conveyed that he was strong.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
but
was-
Eddie Guerrero, everybody, come on, you don't even got to talk too much about Eddie Guerrero.
I think
Everybody
that's
knows
I think
the
that's
talent.
more of it. I think it's more Eddie in that match than anything because like let's say put anybody else in there. Swap out Eddie, swap out Test for Raven and put Eddie versus Raven in there.
I would love it because I'm actually a Raven fan.
Me
Always
too.
have been. I loved
Me
Raven.
too. And I think it's
Till
more
I
of
met
a,
him.
I think it's more of a Styles thing. I think this
Yeah.
I think this is the era of Vince booking the people that he really wants to get over. And Test was the big guy, you know what I mean? And like the other thing with the European Championship, it was cool when it first came out, but what the fuck is European about Test, who's Canadian, and Eddie Guerrero?
Who's
ma-
Mexican?
Listen.
What makes you think of European Championship and go, you know what? Eddie Guerrero, that's our European champion.
That's the guy.
It's just
Ken Shamrock held that. Shit.
I know, like, and Shane
it's-
McMahon held that
Well,
title.
If
like,
you
it's,
think that we can break that down.
Okay,
Ken
yeah,
Shamrock.
yeah.
that makes
name,
sense.
there you
But
go.
Last name Shamrock.
Okay,
Shamrock.
Ireland, yeah.
Ireland. Europe. Boom. So
I don't even know what his real last name is. That's an adopted last name.
yeah, it doesn't
but-
even
Yeah,
matter what
but
his
still,
name
I don't know. The match was really
Just get
good.
out of his way.
I think Eddie's the fucking man. Eddie could wrestle a broomstick and make it fucking entertaining.
at
but-
least entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, so let's move on to the next one. He who should not be named.
Yeah, that's
Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle. Okay, we didn't deserve this match at that time.
we didn't deserve Kurt Angle.
Honestly, Chris Benoit in the ring either. Chris Benoit was phenomenal in the ring.
He was,
Always has been.
But here's the difference
This
between those
match-
two guys. Benoit trained to be a wrestler for like 10 years before this. Angle did for like a year. Angle does not get his flowers for how fucking good
Yeah,
he was.
he's-
But we also, the funny
all
thing with
around.
that is too, is like Kurt Angle was actually only in WWE for like 5 years.
Yeah, his longest run was TNA. He had like a 10-year
He was
run
there for 5 years,
Yeah.
and he became the star he was in that short period of time.
Look at Stone Cold.
Stone Cold
Same
also
thing.
had what, maybe 7 years?
Debuted
run?
at WrestleMania 12, and his last one was 19. So 7 years.
7-year run.
7-year run.
Yep.
And he didn't wrestle at one of those because he was hurt.
That's
Yeah.
all you need.
14 or no, 15 he wrestled, 16 he didn't wrestle.
So
And then he did
that's-
17, 18, 19. So yeah.
We-
So that's pretty wild. Like that's a really crazy short window to have. But Angle, he had the best rookie year,
Oh, it was incredible.
right? He won the Royal Rumble, he won the European Intercontinental and the World title all in 1 year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
his
Like
rise
again,
was
Angle
quick.
does not get he does not get enough
Yeah,
love.
yeah, and I agree. And he was also
Here's
comedic as well.
Yeah.
and that
Dude,
mixes in
his
and
comedic
I
timing.
See, yeah, that's what I mean. And
Oh.
I see all these.
I love watching the
early.
early stuff. I love watching the early stuff where he does interviews where like he wanted to come out and just be like the white meat baby face, like, oh, they're gonna love me, and Vince is like, they're gonna fucking hate you.
Yeah.
You're gonna come out and say how great you are because you're an Olympian. He's like, well, I am. And he's like, and they're gonna fucking hate that. And they did. And you remember his first match?
I honestly do not
With
remember.
Sean Stasiak.
Sean Stasiak.
Okay.
How about that?
Meat.
Yeah, with meat. But he talked shit in the middle of the match on the mic, which I thought was great. But yeah, I just think Kurt Angle is. Can you think of a bad Kurt Angle match?
No, yeah, Baron Corbin, his retirement match.
Which it shouldn't have fucking happened. Yeah.
Well, if it shouldn't have been the retirement match.
No.
I love that he put over Baron Corbin because here's another hot take. Baron Corbin is underappreciated, fantastic wrestler.
Fucking hate him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't do it for
He
me.
he was the guy that bridged everybody. You look at everybody that he beefed with; they became huge stars right afterwards. He was against Rollins. Rollins blew up. Against Roman. Roman blew up. You name him. Baron Corbin worked a program with him right before they blew up. Anyway, as we move on, we got China versus Ivory, women's champion. China wins the women's championship. The only reason this match happened is because China had star power and they needed to do something to put her a part of this.
She was another level, dude.
Yeah, she was.
She shouldn't even have had the women's title.
They really, I mean, she's the only woman that won a men's title
Yeah.
in WWE.
Right.
Yeah.
She was Intercontinental Champion.
And that was kind of my point. Like, why you can't put a women's title? Who can beat her? She did eventually lose it.
Who'd she lose to? Sable?
Something
Something like
weird.
that?
Yeah, that's my point. Like,
Yeah.
it's not believable. We weren't like, yo, this chick
What-
beat China. No,
Was she the only woman in a men's rumble as well?
No.
she was the
So
first.
she was the first one.
Then Beth
Okay.
Phoenix, and
Beth
then
Phoenix.
Beth
and then
Phoenix.
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Khan, and then Nia Jax.
Nia
Yeah,
Jax.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, she was the
in
first
my,
one.
yeah, I mean, to me, like, yeah, she was just competing
So-
with the men as well. So yeah, she was
There's
ahead of
something
her
else,
time.
and I know for you, Francisco, because of you being such a big Shawn Michaels fan your entire life, the DX thing, China probably means a little more to you because she was a big part of DX and helping Shawn Michaels and helping Triple H.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Is that something that may make you think more highly of China than
No,
I would?
I just feel like, to me, she's, her presentation. I know she looked like a man, obviously, that was her thing. But she was also a great wrestler for how big she was. And, she would squash people. And, to
Yeah.
get that in the women's division,
She was the Braun Strowman of women.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not,
Well put.
yep, I'm not biased because of DX. That's my personal opinion. So.
All right, match 7 on the card is the street fight between the fathers, the father and son, Shane and Vince in a street
yeah.
fight with Mick Foley
yeah.
as the special ref.
Yeah, I actually took some notes on this one because I got to tell you something. Vince can take an ass whooping. that's the one thing about Vince. When it comes down to WrestleManias, he, other than when he beat Pat McAfee, um, he always gets his ass whooped. I mean, Hogan fucking destroyed him.
Brett.
Fucking destroyed him.
Right.
Shane fucking destroys him in this match. But they're also really, really stiff with each other. I put in here some of the chair shots and some of the punches that they were throwing were fucking live rounds. They were connected.
Well, if you
they were not pulling back.
You hear anybody ever talk about working with Shane, he was stiff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I honestly, I think with the people at that time, if you look at Shane, you kind of have to be stiff to make it look like, okay, this guy has a chance. Because otherwise, if he's over here pulling his punches, it's going to be like, what the fuck is this little guy? How's he even got a chance against so-and-so?
Right.
I think it's a hot take, but I never cared for Shane as a wrestler. I think he just stole other people's moves. He didn't have any of his own moves. All of his moves were other people's moves. And to me, he came off as the owner's kid who just stole his favorite wrestler's moves. And maybe that was his character, but I just fucking
He was
cannot
definitely
stand him.
entertaining.
He was, don't get me wrong. But I cannot stand him. When people are like, "Oh, Shane McMahon was a great wrestler," like,
no,
he wasn't really a wrestler.
Off topic, do you remember when Shane McMahon was beefing with Braun Strowman?
No,
Some of the best stuff ever that Shane's ever done.
No, I don't remember
He would come out there and he'd be like, "Oh, you know, I'm the boss's son. I'm partial owner of the company because I'm smart. You're stupid. Big man, little brain."
Oh, I do remember
it's
that.
So
yeah,
good.
yeah, I do
Just
remember that.
So good.
Yeah.
So
And to go back to your point, before you move on to the next match, Vince getting beat up, like I said, I mean, me being a business owner, like, I get it, like, he is pushing his product.
Always.
He is dedicated, and I really envy that, and I look up, I mean, in that way, in a business way, I look up to that man.
No, you're right. And I think he's setting the tone of, like, if I'll do it, I won't ask you to do something I won't do. Right? Like, I'll get hit.
Get it. He's getting his
He
hands
took 20.
dirty
He took 20 some chair shots
for the business, and I'm telling you, that's.
I mean, motherfucker bleeds. I mean, he.
listen, Francisco does everything consensually as well. So just in case you're wondering, we're gonna move on here to probably the match that is the biggest match for the card, most well known, biggest moments. Something that helped mold the future of a certain match type and of a certain division.
This is one of the trilogy, right? They had three, right?
This is one of the third one. I'm sorry, got a little out of hand.
Was WrestleMania 2000?
There's too many
right?
extra stuff going on with that one. TLC 2 between Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys, who were the champions at the time, versus the Hardys.
Yes.
This is the one with the spot with the spear from the top of the ladder.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the swanton from the top of the ladder.
Yeah, they went
this is 3D from the ladder. Like, just so many spots in this match. To this day, when you talk about a ladder match, a TLC match, you go back. And this match also cemented the legacies of these three teams to be three of the top teams ever in WWE. There's so many moments in this match that are just like, holy shit.
Yep.
This one, to me, out of the three of them, is the one that I feel like is the most, like, spot festy.
Yes.
And most set up. Just because of, this is the one with Rhino.
Rhino came out.
And Lita and Spike Dudley.
Yes.
Just lots of other shit that
did
I
happen.
felt like it was a lot of stuff. Again, getting people on the card, I think, was more the point than the story. Where I think the first one was the best one out of the three. I think the first TLC was the best one out of the three.
I disagree.
Just because of that.
I disagree, but I think this one was the best one.
Because of the sheer violence and, like, the
because
bumps.
of the bump. The Jeff Hardy taking that spear is the craziest bump. I think
nuts.
maybe to this day it's top 5 craziest bumps I've ever seen.
I don't think this spot is as crazy as them almost fucking it up. Do you remember his foot was like stuck in the ladder and
the way
almost
he
didn't get out? Like,
the way he fell,
buddy,
it
was perfect landing. But, like, if that
a half a centimeter different.
That's what I mean, like, perfect
He's dead.
landing. It's equivalent to Mankind hitting that table coming off the cage.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
a
That
little bit
was
before,
fucking wild.
a little bit over,
Yeah.
a little bit to the left, to the right.
Night-night.
He's fucking dead. He's
Yeah.
not alive anymore. So
Yeah.
like that room for error is so fucking small in a match like this. You just see it.
So with this
But-
one, Edge and Christian end up winning. They win the championships from the champions, the Dudleys. Like I said, you can't talk about this match or this WrestleMania without mentioning this match. You know what I mean? You can't talk about this match without mentioning those spots.
And I'm gonna touch on these 6 gentlemen in this match. Okay, so you have Edge and Christian, world champion,
Jeff
right?
Hardy,
world champion. Matt Hardy,
world champion in different promotions.
but he was the ECW world champion.
ECW world
too.
champion,
Yep.
TNA.
Yep. Bully Ray, TNA,
TNA
world
world
heavyweight
champion.
champion. Okay, I mean, you got 5 world champions out of that. Like that's crazy.
This is what I said when we
Right,
first
and I
started.
would've
Yeah.
never-
This sheer star power of this
Yeah.
I'm
match.
telling you, I would have never thought any of those guys would have won a world.
Now, here's the
title
thing,
after
though.
that.
Well, hold on. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Jericho, world champion.
yeah,
Let's get the second match. APA, Bradshaw, JBL, world champion.
yeah.
Um,
Ron Simmons was a world champion too.
Kane, Big Show,
World
world
champions.
champions. Eddie
Raven
Guerrero,
was a world champion too.
Raven was world champion.
ECW, world heavyweight
yes.
champion.
Eddie Guerrero, world
champion.
champion. Test, ECW,
And
world champion.
Yep, and Intercontinental. Yep.
Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, world champions.
Yeah.
China, world champion,
champion, yeah.
of having balls and wrestling women.
She was a, come on. yo.
Shane
Give
and
her-
Vince.
Here's the thing, though, too, dude. You got to realize,
her,
too.
give her.
You remember what happened WrestleMania 17, right? This happened on a Sunday. You remember what happened the Monday before this?
Was this
The last Nitro. They had just bought WCW the
Okay.
same fucking
Okay.
week.
All right.
The same week.
Yeah, that's.
So
I
when you're
didn't
looking at
remember
WrestleMania
that.
17 kind of coming out of it, really, if you're looking at it, not this WrestleMania and really not even 18, but 19, that's the most stacked roster that company's
Oh, yeah.
ever fucking had. Because all these people that are here are there too, but Brock Lesnar's there. Cena's there. Batista's there.
Right.
A lot of these newer guys are there at that starting then. This era really had the most star power. It really did.
Yeah,
Every
I can see that.
WrestleMania going on, really, from that point on, is just fucking nothing but star power.
Yeah.
And like, I'm glad we're talking about this because like now we're talking about this card here. We just went through this entire card here. World champion, world champion, world champion. Let's go back to WrestleMania 12. Let's talk about some of those people.
Skip and Zip and the Godwins?
Yeah,
No.
Sabio Vega.
Godwin's tag
No.
team champion.
Yoko, world champion. Vader, world champion.
Yeah.
Bulldog, Ahmed, Jake the Snake, Owen. No. None of them were world champions.
Yeah,
Right.
Austin, yes. Savio, no.
Yeah.
Warrior and Triple H, yes.
Yeah.
Taker and Diesel, yes.
Yeah.
Piper, no. Should have been.
Yeah.
Never was.
Wow.
Goldust,
Fun
no.
fact.
no.
And then Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay, and
course.
again, we can even go to my favorite WrestleMania. Let's go to
Let's
10.
see. Owen and Brett. Brett, yes. Bam Bam and Doink.
Luna,
No.
Dink,
Yeah.
Fuck.
Dink never got. Dink
Crush.
wasn't a world champion.
Crush,
Crush, no.
Fuck.
Macho Man, yes.
goddamn Quebecers,
The Quebecers.
fucking Mo and Mabel, Earthquake.
No.
There you go. Isn't it
Yoko,
wild?
Lex.
Look at
Lex
that.
is world champion. Yoko was. Lex
at
is in
that.
WCW. Earthquake. Adam Bomb. No.
It kind of shows having competition really helped
Definitely.
because from these WrestleManias on, there was no competition.
Right.
You just had stacked rosters
Until recently.
until
Yes.
recently. Yeah.
So match number 9 on the card is the 19-man gimmick battle royal with some of our favorites from the past.
Yeah.
Duke the Dumpster Drosy, I believe,
Yep.
may have been in there.
Brother Love,
Brother Love.
Michael P.S. Hayes,
Oh.
the Goon,
The Goon.
Yep.
The Goon.
Mantar,
Yep.
maybe, if I'm not mistaken.
Typhoon was in there.
So the winner of this
Earthquake.
was the Iron Sheik
Yep.
because fuck the Hulk Hogan. Okay? That's why.
Fuck a jabroni. I bend you over and fuck you in the ass and humble you. Humble you, Baba.
He does not like that man, but
Still,
that's a
love it.
topic for another day.
Love it.
Sheik, world champ, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
10th match on the card. Undertaker versus Triple H for the first time. There was 3 times at
Yeah,
WrestleMania,
isn't
but
that
for
wild?
the
That
first
would
time.
that would be a trilogy of matches, and this was WrestleMania 17.
17.
When did they have their other one? Was it 28?
20. It was somewhere in that
28,
area.
29, I think.
28, 29, or
Or
29, 30,
28,
something,
that.
something
But yeah,
around
how
those.
crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Undertaker obviously got the win back then. This is while the streak was still intact. Good match. Fun spot at the end. As we spoke before recording, Aaron wasn't a fan of the spot at the end.
No.
With the sledgehammer and the last ride.
No, I like this sledgehammer spot, but having the bleeding and stuff. And as we were talking about this match, I was looking more into it. It was actually a gimmicked sledgehammer, so it was a fake sledgehammer. So Triple H thought he could hit him as hard as he could, and he actually busted him open with a gimmick sledgehammer, which I thought was kind of hilarious.
Yeah,
but
that was
but
all their matches I thought were good.
Yeah,
like I mean, there wasn't a bad one.
No,
you know,
no. But the main event of this WrestleMania is for John what made it, and for me what fucking killed it, and that's The Rock versus Stone Cold. Now, a couple things about their matches. Their matches weren't always the best, in my opinion. They were good matches, but their back and forth, their segments on TV,
yes,
that was better. To me,
Right.
that was the more entertaining
Like-
stuff of that feud than the
the-
matches themselves.
yeah, the promos
or the
leading
promos,
up
the
to it.
build up,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
And you figured those were 2 big stars.
Yeah.
Like, coming like ahead. Like
Yeah.
you know, they both were dominating.
But
I mean,
the biggest
like,
thing
at
for
that
me
time.
is the Stone Cold heel turn. It was just not. It just wasn't a good idea. And again, they're giving Stone Cold this because he's the guy, right? You've been the guy for so long.
Right.
If this is what he wants to do, you got to let him try it, right? And Stone Cold has actually said over the years that this was his biggest regret was doing this heel turn, because it just didn't work. But to me, that's why it fucking soured me. It soured me for 9 years. I watched this WrestleMania. I watched a few more Raws, and I didn't watch any wrestling until WrestleMania 26.
I 100% disagree with you guys. Just because the promo leading up to this is the main reason why the heel turn was so good for that moment. Do you remember? They sat down.
Yeah,
Rock
they're
and
one-on-ones.
Austin
He's like, I
with Jim
need
Ross,
this. I know.
I need to beat you.
And like I just said to Fran, I
It's like,
think
Rock, you want to win.
I need to. I know.
win.
And I think that was better than the matches and everything, were the build-ups to all 3 of their WrestleMania matches. Their matches themselves were
And
okay.
by God, he shook hands with the devil himself.
I just thought it was so...
Stone Cold heel turn. Nobody saw it coming.
No, they didn't. And nobody wanted it. That's the other thing.
We didn't need it.
No.
But it was such a swerve, and you don't get that enough in wrestling. That people who are hip to it, like us, that watch regularly, or like a lot of the people who are probably going to listen to our podcast, you're aware. You've seen so much. You're aware what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. This was not seen coming. That's another reason why.
But what is there to not like about him? He went with
What's not to like about him?
He went with Austin, or he went with McMahon. Cool. After that, he didn't really change anything. He was still himself. It's hard to not like the guy. He's just Stone Cold. He's just saying he's a bad guy. He didn't do anything. He should have come out in the suit. He should have changed something about himself to make us hate him.
Yeah.
All he did was just wrestle like a heel.
I just think it was
with
the hate.
Yes,
they were hoping that it was going to change people's perspectives based on the hate for Vince. Because it was so high, because Vince is arguably the best heel in wrestling history.
Do you think it would have worked if they would have had a hot baby face to step in? Like if they had a Cena ready to go or something to kind of step into that role?
I could see that, yeah.
Because they just didn't, right? They didn't have that.
No,
The Rock stepped away after they started doing movies. That became the thing.
Isn't this around the time where Shawn Michaels lost his smile?
Yep.
So, yeah. Bret Hart was gone already, right?
Yeah.
So, what are we doing? Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
100% makes sense.
Yeah.
But maybe they were just thinking off the strength of The Rock's popularity and the hatred for Vince, you could turn this into something bigger than it was. But they didn't need to. They could have both, as baby faces, had the craziest rivalry ever.
But was Austin a babyface?
He's always kind of been a tweener.
You know what I mean?
Like,
I mean, I'm just more or less, the Austin in my head was the badass
He's always kind of been a
talking
tweener.
shit.
So
Yeah, he has.
for this era of wrestling,
Okay.
that's a babyface. The
Okay.
fans were behind him because they could relate to him. We go to work every morning, we bust our ass, and our boss is a piece of shit. Okay?
Right.
They hate their boss. This guy gets to beat the shit out of their boss. Let's do it.
We're gonna pause
with
in
him.
a couple seconds. All right, we're good.
So I think that is, for the era, Attitude Era, Austin was a babyface. It was
Okay.
he was relatable.
Yeah.
He seemed
Let's
like
see my-
he seemed like a guy like you and me.
That's my point with Stone Cold is like he was supposed to be a heel from the rip, right?
With the ring, the
When,
No,
when
no.
he beat
Well, the ringmaster was
Jake Roberts and became Stone Cold,
Yeah.
that promo and everything that night, he was
Yeah.
supposed to be a heel.
right.
That was a Sunday, right? That was King of Ring.
Yeah.
That Monday they go to Raw and they see all these Austin 316 signs. You're not a heel anymore. When you're supposed to be a heel and there's signs in the crowd of people cheering you, guess what? You're not a fucking heel anymore. And he wanted to be a heel. He was just so cool, and that's my point. Between Stone Cold and NWO, they really blurred that line for heels, right? Because think about Stone Cold, dressed in all black, came out cursing,
Right.
pushed against authority. He's supposed to be a bad guy, and you fucking loved him. It's the first time being bad was cool.
Exactly, but
Right?
that's what I mean.
That's-
Like the people that gravitated towards him was because of his bad
Exactly.
attitude. That's what I mean.
And it was all the heel shit he did that people loved him
So
for,
you're
which is crazy.
You're considering him a heel because of all the signs and everything.
No,
in
he
the crowd,
he
or-
turned babyface because of that.
The plan was for him to be a heel,
heel.
but because the fans got behind it,
That's why
he's a babyface.
That's
If
why
the
he's the
fans
biggest
love you,
star
you're
of
a
all
babyface.
time. That's why he's the biggest star of all time, in my opinion, because they wanted him to be a heel. It's the first time they listened to the crowd, right? Because that night he beat Jake Roberts.
Right, I remember that.
Talk
promo,
shit about the Bible.
Yep,
Which
Austin
should
too.
make you a heel, right?
Yeah.
And then you go on Raw and you see all these signs that say Austin 316.
Yeah.
And if you're Vince, you're like, fuck, we're on to something.
Yeah.
And they just stuck a rocket to him. And
No, I mean that's
they-
interesting. I
and
mean, see, I'm learning something new even today.
But even think about like leading up to the match with
he was always-
even leading up to his matches with Bret Hart, where he's like, you put an S in front of Hitman, and what do you got? Like
That's exactly how I feel about him.
talking about the biggest baby face.
Yeah.
And then to the point where they were able to do the double turn, where Austin was a heel going into the match with Hart, and he loses to Hart, and then Hart turns heel on him. So you go into this match where Bret Hart's the baby face and
Austin's the
Austin's the heel, and at the end of it, the roles are reversed. Like that's crazy. Like that's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
It's insane.
just feeling it out, right?
But even
Just
like
seeing-
NWO was like, oh my god, they're taking over, and they were supposed to be this heel faction. And how cool was NWO?
I mean,
There wasn't anything cooler in the history of wrestling.
But
And
that's-
once Six joined, they didn't need any more members.
They didn't. It got watered down after that.
Yeah,
but the
for sure.
That was
but
it.
that's
All it needed to be was Hogan.
But this era started
Paul,
that.
Nash,
That was kind of
Six.
the point. Like that era, this WrestleMania 17, not even really. It was that really, I guess, in between 10, 11, 12, that time when NWO started to grow is when being like a heel became cool. It never was before that, right?
I'm trying to think because
Were there any cool heel? That's the question I should have asked.
17 was
before
in
before
2001.
before Stone Cold, before NWO. Were there any cool heels?
No, definitely not.
Mr. Perfect is the only one I can think of that was cool that people probably liked.
yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, well,
and here's the
fair.
thing.
That's
Here's
fair.
the thing. Why
Yeah,
did they like
that's
Mr.
fair.
Perfect?
Because he was perfect.
Because he backed it the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't play a character. He was Mr. Perfect. That's why it worked for him.
Listen,
right?
I'm.
You ever hear
You're
about
right,
him
you're-
saving Wade Boggs' life?
Yes, I
You
did.
ever hear that story?
Yeah.
Incredible. If
Yeah.
anybody who's listening and wants to hear a wild story about some real life shit, Mr. Perfect saved Wade Boggs' life. Wade Boggs, a Hall of Fame baseball player. Just look it up. Listen to it. It's crazy.
But to me, I think that's why 17 didn't work, is because of everything we kind of just said of the cool heel inadvertently became the baby face. And when you're cool heel, you're trying to turn him heel. You have to make him uncool. And they didn't make Stone Cold uncool. All they did was make him heel. At the end of WrestleMania, what happened? He still drank beer,
Yeah.
It was just with Vince.
Well, listen.
And yeah, it makes you hate him.
Alcoholism is a problem.
It is.
Okay, so
It is.
Yeah,
let's not do that to him.
But I think it had an
He's
adverse
got-
effect. Like, you have heat and then you have channel changing heat. And for me, that was channel changing heat. That was, to me, I'm going to stop watching it. Pissed me off so much. It was like Jeff Jarrett heat. Like, I'm going to change the fucking channel because you're on now. You know?
That was kind of the idea.
Yeah, and
That's exactly the idea.
No, I think and that's my point. I think there's two different types of heat. You have heel heat that makes you like, oh, I want to see him get his fucking ass kicked now, or I don't even want to watch. And I think that's what the Stone Cold thing was for me, at least. It made me not want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, well, with Stone Cold, I mean, you like that's the thing with watching. Not only was his attitude, but a stunner can come from anywhere. That's where Randy Orton bit that off of him, like how the RKO comes from. You know, what I mean, the stunner came from.
Now here's a great example.
anywhere,
We're talking about heel turns. Cena's heel turn, biggest babyface probably of all time,
well, other than Hogan, because he's obviously Hogan
or Stone Cold, right?
Wow,
Crazy, right? But that heel turn was done really well.
If you think of
right?
the three of the biggest stars ever,
It's
Hogan,
Cena,
Austin.
Hogan, Cena, Austin.
Austin's heel turn was the worst one of the three. 100%.
Yeah.
for
right.
Because I don't even.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Yeah. That's probably why it sucks so bad. You're right.
It was the worst of the three. Worst done of the three.
Yeah.
So, but
That's
the
a good point.
only thing about
There
the
you go.
Hogan one that was funny was when Bobby Heenan said, "Well, whose side is he on?" When he came walking down.
He kind of gave it away.
Kind of gave it away.
He kind of did.
Even though Bobby Heenan always shit on Hogan in commentary.
And that's why he did it.
Mhm.
Because he was really just being the heel still.
Yeah,
Saying, well, whose side is he on? Because that's how he always was. Heenan was great.
he was.
Yeah, Ian was definitely great.
Heenan was great.
So, I mean, we're talking about all these, and we've decided that 12 probably is the most lackluster of the three.
yeah.
Not saying it was bad from start to finish.
Oh, no, it's
just
fine.
of the three. I think out of the three that we chose, I think it's the most lackluster. So on our next episode, we are going to go ahead and try to rebook WrestleMania 12. Maybe look into some stuff the weeks prior. Something that we could do. Maybe change some participants. Maybe put some stipulations, endings. What we could do that we could make WrestleMania 12 stand out more than it did already. Along with that, we encourage you to, in the comments on our page, please give us some of your takes, some of your favorite WrestleManias.
Yep.
We love to interact with you guys. You're all wrong, but I'll still interact with you. So please bring it on. We love doing this. We're going to continue to do it.
Yeah, so next week we'll be breaking down. Each of us will do our own fantasy book of WrestleMania 12. We'll talk about the match card, and we'll have a couple more fun segments for you guys next week. But until then, we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.
That's it. Peace.
Peace.